Good morning, everyone, and a warm welcome to all the listeners of this video. And myself, V. Dinesh Babu, from the Department of CSC of JW Engineering College. Today's session, we are going to discuss about the remaining topics in object-oriented programming system. In the previous session, we have completed the definition of a class and how to define a class in the Java program and the contents of the class. And then we have discussed about what is an object in Java, how to create an object in Java, and the use of creating an object in Java programming language. So in today's session, we are going to see about inheritance and different types of inheritances. So we will see example for each and every type of inheritance. So if time is still there, so we will be here only for a 1 hour, 60 minutes of time, only 60 minutes of time. So if inheritance and the types are completed, and then we can move for the next topic, right? So we have completed all these things, right? We have completed up to this particular slide. And let us move to the example what we have seen in the previous session. So this is the example what we have seen in the previous session, right? So the output of this particular code is, just run the program, right? The output of this particular code is ECE 10, 20, 30. That is the output of this particular program. So if any one is there who don't understand this particular program and who don't have any knowledge regarding this output, please go through the previous session. The link was already shared in your WhatsApp groups. So please go through that link and watch the entire video. For sure, you will get some knowledge regarding this program and output. Still, if you don't understand this program or anything in the last session, please write a comment in the comment box of that particular video, right? So, as I said in the last session, I have written the main method in this class only. So we can also write this main method, right? We can also write this main method in a separate class also. For example, class, right? Here I want to define it as ECE1, and inside the class, I want to write the main method. So here, in this particular program, there are two classes. So in Java, we can have any number of classes for a single program. So in this particular program, we have changed the program. We have used two classes. So now we will get some confusion how to save this particular program. Previously, there is only one class, ECE. So we can save the program as ECE.java. Now in this code, we are having two classes, ECE and ECE1. Now we have to save this code with the name ECE1.java, because a program may have any number of classes. Among all those classes, the main method of Java programming language will reside in only one class. And we have to save our program with the class name in which the main method is there. So here in this particular code, we have two classes, ECE and ECE1, and our main method in Java, that is public static void main string args, resides in ECE1. So we have to save this particular code as ECE1.java. ECE1.java. After saving the code, run this code, compile this code. So there are no errors. And now run the code. So the output of the program is same as previous output, because we done no changes in the program. We just added one more class and we just copied the main method into that particular class. So I am showing the different ways of writing the Java program. We can write as the program in the previous session, or we can write the same program like this, or we can use any all the other alternative ways. I'm not asking you to by heart the concepts. Please remember these concepts. Please have a great idea on all these concepts or on these procedures of writing the program. So you will be able to write Java program of your own. Don't copy the things from others or from textbooks or websites. So they are only used to refer. They are only used to show how to write or how to use the syntax and some sample outputs. You are the person have to write your own program. So you will be perfect in any programming language if you practice by your own. Unless and until you practice by your own, you don't get any perfectness, right? So let us move to the today's session. I'm closing this output. So in today's session, I'm going to discuss about the concept called as inheritance. It is one of the important topics under object-oriented programming. See the first line of the sentence. Inheritance is an important pillar of OOP. So inheritance plays a very important role in object-oriented programming. So let us see what is inheritance. It is a mechanism in Java, right? It is a mechanism, or it is some procedure in Java programming language by which one class is allowed to inherit the features of another class without rewriting. So the process of allowing one class to inherit the features of another class is called as inheritance. That means here what we are going to do is we are going to write some variables and methods inside one class, and we are going to write another class, and in the another class, if another class wants to have the same type of variables and methods without rewriting the same variables and methods of the above class, we can just inherit them, right? We can just inherit them by using this mechanism, right? So don't worry, I will show examples on each and every, there are different types of inheritances. I will show example on each and every type of inheritance. Don't worry. Keep one thing in mind. Inheritance means one class will use another class properties without rewriting. So that properties may be variables or methods. For example, if there are two classes, class A contains some variables and methods. If class B wants same variables and methods, so now class B will use the variables and methods of class A without rewriting. So the type of mechanism is called as inheritance. So when we say without rewriting, that means code reusability, right? Code reusability is also one of the major feature of Java programming language. Here, code reusability in Java can be done up to some extent by inheritance and packages and interfaces. So we will discuss the topic of packages and interfaces maybe in unit number 5 or 4, right? So in inheritance, we write some properties in one class and we use those properties in another class without rewriting them. So the mechanism of writing properties in one class and using the properties in many other classes is called as inheritance. So there is some important terminology while we are talking about inheritance. There are two main things under the inheritance: superclass, subclass. So superclass is the class whose features are inherited. For example, if there are two classes, class A and class B, if class B is using the features of class A, then class A is called as superclass because class A properties are going to be used by class B, and class B is called as subclass because it is going to use the properties of class A. Please understand the terminology, right? So superclass, the class whose features are inherited, is known as superclass. And there are some other names for this superclass. We can call this superclass as base class or parent class. So while we are dealing with inheritance, when we say parent class or base class or superclass, everything is same. And subclass, the class that inherits the other class is known as subclass. As I said in the previous example, if B is using the properties of class A, then class B is called as subclass. So there are some alternative names for this subclass also. The alternative names are child class, derived class, or extended class, right? So the subclass can add its own fields and methods in addition to the superclass fields and methods, right? So here the subclass will have its own features, subclass will have its own methods. Apart from those methods, the methods of superclass will also be added in the background when these two classes are in inheritance relation, right? So remember these two names, superclass and subclass. The alternative names for superclass are base class, parent class. The alternative names for subclass are derived class, extended class, child class, right? Very easy topic and easy to remember also. These are the types of inheritances. So achieving the properties of one class to another class without rewriting is called as inheritance. So the achievement of properties from one class to another class without rewriting can be done in 5 different ways. Those are the 5 types of inheritance. The following are the names of 5 types of inheritance. Single inheritance, you can see on the screen. Multiple inheritance, multi-level inheritance, hierarchical inheritance, and hybrid inheritance. These are the 5 different types of inheritance in object under the inheritance concept of object-oriented programming system. Right? So now let us have a look at each and every type of inheritance. The definition of the inheritance, type of inheritance, pictorial representation, that means representing the inheritance in the form of a picture, and then one example on inheritance. Okay, so let us start with the first type of inheritance called as single inheritance. Single inheritance, there is some other name for this single inheritance. This single inheritance can also be called as simple inheritance. So in single or simple inheritance, subclass inherit the features of one superclass. There will be only 2 classes in a relation of inheritance. One is superclass and another one is subclass. So you can see in the picture, there are 2 classes, class A and class B, where there is an arrow from class A to class B. That means class A is a superclass, class B is a subclass. So class B will have access to the variables and methods of class A, which are public and derived. I will explain the keywords public, sorry, not public and derived, public and protected. Sorry. So I will explain what is the use of public keyword, what is the use of private keyword, and what is the use of protected keyword. Right? We can use public, private, protected before variables or before methods. So there is some use of those 3 keywords, right? So I will explain those 3 keywords along with some examples in the next coming sessions. They are not included in this present PPT or present session. I will show them in the next session, right? So come to the topic. So in single inheritance, there are only 2 classes. One is parent class, another one is child class. Child class will use the, that means will inherit the properties of the parent class, right? So let us see one example, that is example 3, how this single inheritance is possible, right? So let us move to the edit plus, right? So let us write one program, take one Java file, right? So as I said earlier, there are only 2 classes. So let us take those 2 classes as ECEA, right? And then let us consider one more class called as ECE B, right? So remember one word, the name of the word is extends. Extends. So extends is a keyword in Java programming language which is used for the concept of inheritance. So when we say class B extends, sorry, class ECEB extends ECEA, that means ECEB is going to inherit all the public and protected properties of ECEA without rewriting them. I will show here. Let us consider there is one variable and the type of the variable is int a, and there is one method, right? There is one method which will print the value of a on the output screen, right? So if anyone is having the doubts regarding how to write a class and how to write methods, you can follow the previous session so that you can get clarity, right? So this is the first class which contains a variable a and method m. Let us consider it as m1, right? Now class B, there is one point in the PPT. Class B can have its own properties, right? So let us use class B contains a variable int b equal to 20, and there is one method in class B, that is ECEB, and the name of the method is m2. So this m2 method will print the value of b on the output screen. Now let us define one more class in order to write, right? In order to write the main method of Java programming language. The main method of Java programming language is public static void main string args. It is the main method in Java programming language, right? So within the main method, let us create objects for, let us create one object or couple of objects in order to access the things in ECEA and ECEB. So here I am going to, right, here I am going to create one object for ECEB, right? My object name is obj equal to new ECEB. As we know that it is the syntax of creating an object in Java. Class name space object name equal to new class name. Here we want to create an object for ECEB, that is the name of the class, and name of the object is obj, right? And we have to use the new keyword while creating an object, and we have to use the class name here. Now what will happen is, so whenever we create an object, then some amount of space will be reserved in RAM with the name obj, and in that RAM, in that obj, all the non-statical variables of ECEB will be there, right? So whenever we create an object, a space in RAM will be created, and inside that space, the non-statical elements of particular class will be saved. Here we have created an object for ECEB. That means an amount of space will be reserved in RAM, and in that space, the non-statical elements of ECEB will be saved. So let us move to ECEB. So it is ECEB. So ECEB, it contains an integer variable b, where the value is 20, and it contains a method m2, where such method will print the value of b on the output screen. At the same time, whenever JVM searches for ECEB, it found there is something called as extends ECA. Then immediately it will move to ECA, and it will bring the non-statical elements of ECA. At the same time, it will bring the non-statical elements of ECEB to the RAM, because here we have used ECEB extends ECA. That means the properties of ECA are going to be used in ECEB. That's why when I create an object for ECEB, it is bringing all the non-statical elements of ECEB and all the non-statical elements of ECEA into the RAM. Now, if we want to execute the non-statical elements in ECEA and non-statical elements in ECEB, we have to provide the names of those non-statical elements along with object name, because int a equal to 10, int b equal to 20, both are in RAM under the name of OBJ. At the same time, M1 and M2 are in the RAM under the name of OBJ. So in order to access M1 and M2, we have to give memory name dot method name. So memory name is OBJ, method name is M1. Memory name is OBJ, method name is M2. So OBJ dot M1 and OBJ dot M2 will print the values of A and B. So there are three classes in this particular program: ECEA, right? ECEA, and then we have ECEB, and then we have ECE3. Now we have to save this code. We have to save this code with the name ECE3.java, because the main method in Java programming language, public static void main string args, is in ECE3. So we have to save the code with the name ECE3.java. So save the code. After saving the code, just compile the code. There is some error here. The error is, so, right. So the class name is ECE capital B, right? That is the error, what is showing here, right? So close the error window. Now just compile the code. So there are no errors. And now run the code. So now you can see the output 10 and 20. So we don't create an object for ECEA. Here you can observe, we only created object for ECEB. And by using that object only, we have accessed M1. We have access to M1 by using that object only. You can observe in the part of, you can observe in the blue color. With the object of ECEB only, we have access to M1. But that M1 was located, you can observe here, M1 was located in ECEA. How it is possible? It is possible only by using the extends keyword, right? That means we have inherited, right? We have inherited int A and M1 into class B without rewriting them. So now the object of class B can access the elements of class B along with the elements of class A also, because of this particular statement, extend CCA. Now let us see what will happen if we create an object for ECEA. Let us see what will happen. I just created an object for ECEA, not ECEB. Save the code. Now compile the code. So if you observe, it is showing an error, cannot find the symbol method M2 in class ECEA. So our JVM is unable to find M2 in ECEA. So if you observe, there is no M2 method in ECEA. That's what the JVM is showing. So here, let us see what will happen. Remember one thing, the execution of each and every program will start with main method. So our execution will start at line number 20 because it is the statement which consists of main method in Java. So it will execute each and every line. So in the coming to the 22, we tried to create an object for ECEA. So that is not a problem. An object will be created on successful compilation, not a problem. So an object in the sense, some space in RAM will be created, and inside that space, it is going to move the non-statical elements of ECEA. So if you go to the ECEA, there are no statical elements. Statical elements in the sense, if there is static keyword here, then the integer will become statical element. Or if there is static keyword before the name of the method, then it will become statical method. So if you observe, there is no static keyword behind the variable and behind the method. So these things are called as non-statical variables and methods. So when we create an object for ECEA, the non-statical variables and methods of ECEA will move into the RAM. That means A equal to 0 and M1 will move into the RAM. A equal to 0 and M1 will move into the RAM. So we can execute M1 because it is already in the RAM. But what about M2? It is not there in the RAM. Because we have created object for class A, it will only bring int A and M1 into the RAM. But what happens if we use, right? What happens if we use, if we try to create an object for class B? So when I create an object for class B, right, it will bring all the non-statical variables and methods of class B into the RAM. So if you observe the non-statical elements, it is int B and M2. It will bring these two things into the RAM. At the same time, JVM will encounter this word, particular word extends. That means this class B is going to use some of the properties of another class. When JVM encounters the word extends, it will come to a conclusion that this particular class is going to use the properties of some other class. So after extends keyword, it will encounter ECEA. Now the JVM will bring the non-statical variables and methods of ECEA along with non-statical variables and methods of ECEB and keep them under the name OBJ. So some space in RAM will be reserved under the name OBJ, and inside that OBJ, will contain the non-statical variables of both the classes ECEA and B, and non-statical methods of both the classes ECEA and B will be there. That means int A equal to 10 will be in OBJ, int B equal to 20 will be in OBJ, M1 will be in OBJ, M2 will be in OBJ. But we have created object for class B only. Only creating object for class B brought all the variables and methods, not all the variables, all the non-statical variables and methods of ECEA and all the non-statical variables and methods of ECEB are in the RAM. It is only possible with the inheritance, right? So here, if you observe these two classes, there are only two classes in a single or simple inheritance relation. This one is called as, right? This class is called as superclass. It is a class called as superclass. One second. Superclass, or the other names are subclass or child class. Sorry. Superclass or parent class, right? So the other names for this class are subclass or child class or derived class, right? So because it is going to use the properties of A, that's why it became subclass and A became superclass. Right now, I think everyone got some idea regarding single inheritance, right? So let us close this output, right? So I request all the students to please practice all these things and please make a note of each and every program what you are seeing on the screen. So that will be very useful in the examinations and at the same time in interview point also, right? So let us move to the next slide. We have completed single inheritance so far. Second one, multiple inheritance. I'm sorry, it is not multiple inheritance. It is multi-level inheritance. It is not multiple inheritance. It is multi-level. I will show multiple inheritance in the next slides. Multi-level inheritance. So the other name for this type of inheritance is called as level by level inheritance. Level by level inheritance. So in multi-level inheritance, a derived class will be inheriting a base class, as well as a derived class also acts as base class to other class. See the relation. If you consider your father and yourself, we are excluding all the remaining relations. We are excluding all the remaining relations. We are only considering father and child, right? Father is a superclass, child is a subclass. So child will have some properties from the father, that is single or simple inheritance, right? So let us see one more relation. If you have your grandfather and your father is the son of grandfather and you are the son of your father, then that type of inheritance is called as level by level inheritance or multi-level inheritance. That means your grandfather is a super class, your father will be super class, and you will be the subclass, right? Your father will be subclass to your grandfather class, and your father will be super class for child class. So your father is going to achieve some properties from your grandfather, and you are going to achieve some properties from your father, right? So let us see an example. Let us see the picture representation of multi-level inheritance so that you will get some idea. Here you can see there will be base class, that is, let us consider class A as your grandfather. Some other intermediate class, let us consider class B as your father, and derived class, consider class C as you. So you will get something from your father, and your father will get something from your grandfather. That means your father is copying some of the behaviors of your grandfather, and you are going to copy some of the behaviors from your father. So you can see some level by level inheritance. At the same time, if you have your son or daughter, he or she may copy some of your properties or some of the behaviors from you. So similarly, we can have any number of levels in multiple inheritance. Class A, class B extends A, class C extends B, class D extends C, and so on. Class Z extends Y. This type of inheritance is called as level by level inheritance or multi-level inheritance, right? So with this, I'm going to close today's session, right? With this, I'm going to close today's session. So in today's session, we have seen the definition of inheritance and different types of inheritances. Under the different types of inheritances, we have seen the definition of single inheritance, the picture of single inheritance, and an example on single inheritance. And then we started multi-level inheritance, the definition of multi-level inheritance, the picture representation of multi-level inheritance. And we left with one example in multi-level inheritance and some other inheritances. So in the next session, I will start the session with the example on multi-level inheritance, and then most probably I will complete the next different types of inheritances in the next session. So I request each and every listener of this video to please listen the things carefully and practice the things in your own way. Just see the session for clarification or for knowing the procedure, and write the programs of your own, right? I'm saying each and every time and in each and every video. So please practice yourself. That is the thing what I said while dealing with the C programming language also. I know 99% of the people don't follow this. Even it is my responsibility to say. And at the same time, you already came to the second year. So I think you may get, you got some knowledge how this programming language subject will be, how the examination pattern of JNTK will be, and how the questions will come and how we have to answer in order to get passed or in order to get some good percentages, right? In programming languages, while you are writing for each and every theory part, they may ask, or they may not ask for the examples. You have to write your own examples for each and every topic they have asked in the examination. Not only writing examples will bring you good score. You have to explain the example. You have to write the sample output of that example according to the concept given in the examination. This way of writing the answers for the questions, you will get good score, right? So hope you all got some knowledge regarding the types of inheritances, and mostly single inheritance and example on single inheritance. So I request you to please practice 1 or 2 programs on single inheritance. And if you have any doubts regarding today's session, you can comment in the comment box, or you can ask me personally. I don't have any problem. I will answer you at any time. I want everyone to write at least 20 or 30 Java programs of their own by the end of this semester, right? And I thank each and every listener of this particular video, right? So hope you all got some knowledge in today's session, and we will meet you in the next session with the example on multi-level inheritance and the different types of inheritances. We will continue with the different types of inheritances in the next session. Thank you very much, and thanks a lot.